we're going to tell you about one of the greatest epics in African history. A West African king who was obsessed with what was on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. The story originates from the accounts of Emperor Kanka Musa, popularly known as Mansa Musa, as recorded by the Arabic historian Ibn Amir Hajib, and later documented by al-Omari, in the 14th century in Egypt. This was during Emperor Musa's renowned pilgrimage to Mecca. Additionally, it includes details about the Mali Empire as described by the famous traveler, Ibn Battuta, in the same century. It is the year 1310, Abubakari II, the ruler of a vast West African empire, finds himself pacing restlessly in his palace. His generals approach him with concerns about Jenne, a city challenging his rule, but Abubakari dismisses their worries, uninterested in further conflict. The storytellers remind him of his empire's immense size, making him ponder why he should bother with Jenne. He reflects on the legacy of Sunjata Keita, the founder of his empire, and wonders if his own reign will be as memorable. He says to himself, "O Mer Jata Konate, may your spirit admire what I have done with the empire you founded. You are remembered for building a state bigger than the Ghana Empire. But will Abubakari II also be remembered?" Abubakari decides to mingle with his subjects. Adorned in extravagant gold and a silk cloak, he descends from his palace, flanked by 300 javelin-armed guards. As he sits on his throne, he realizes his people are content, living in material comfort, yet he finds himself dissatisfied with his accomplishments thus far. Unlike his brother, Kanka Musa, later to be known as the Great Mansa Musa, who is more inclined towards pilgrimages like the one to Mecca, Abubakari's mind wanders to far-off lands across the ocean. He yearns for an adventure, a quest that could possibly make him even greater than renowned kings like Tenkamenen and Sunjata. The griots or storytellers are getting ready to spin another tale, but Abubakari can't sit still on his throne. He's got a big idea. He needs boats, skilled sailors, and lots of supplies to set sail. He calls in people from all over Africa, even those boat-building experts from Lake Chad, who know the old Egyptian ways. He's checking out every boat on the Niger and Senegal rivers, throwing a ton of resources at this project. The palace is buzzing with boat experts, and Abubakari is tossing aside all his other work. He's barely sleeping, totally fixated on making his mark in history. With so many different opinions from the experts, he decides, let's have all kinds of boats. Finally, the big day arrives. He leaves his capital, Niamey, and heads to the Atlantic coast. His fleets, a wild mix of 200 ships, packed with gold, gifts, dried meat, and fruit to last the journey. The sailors get on board, and Abubakari tells them, "Don't come back until you find new land." He watches his dream set sail from the Senegambian coast, then heads back to his palace to wait and see what happens. Months have passed, and there's still no word. Where are his men? Why hasn't anyone returned? Just as Abubakari starts to lose hope, someone shouts, "Mansa, one of the sailors is back." The king dashes over, only to see a small, weary man. He's the captain of the last ship in the line. The sailor explains that a strong current in the ocean pulled all the ships away, vanishing over the horizon. Terrified, he turned around and came back. Realizing his sailors weren't up for the challenge, Abubakari decides he'll do it himself. His ministers and spiritual advisors are shocked. He's not backing down after this disaster? But nobody dares to speak up against him. Determined, Abubakari organizes another expedition, this time with a massive fleet of 2,000 ships from the huge shipyards of Senegambia. He gets dressed up in white with a jeweled turban and leaves Kanka Musa in charge, telling him to take the throne if he doesn't return. With one last glance at his empire, Mansa Abubakari Keita II boards the grandest ship, ready to make history, and sails off into the unknown. What happened to Abubakari during this journey across the Atlantic? Tune in next time for part 2 of his quest to reach the Americas.